Talmud Bavli, Tractate Beitzah, page 21a, top of the page with the words Hurtza Almanas Laktir Emorin La'erev. The offering is accepted on condition that he burn the sacrificial parts that are brought upon the altar in the evening, and not during the day. The wording of the Beitzah indicates that if the meat may not be eaten on that day, then only if he already sprinkled the blood. In other words, after the fact, yes, it is permitted. However, he may not sprinkle it ab initio, which means lechatchila. Granted, according to the opinion of Rava, it works out well. But according to the opinion of Rava bar of Huna, it is difficult. The Gemara comments, indeed, it is difficult. And if you wish, say instead, a rabbinic decree concerning Shabbat is different from a rabbinic decree concerning a festival, as the sages were more stringent with regard to Shabbat than with regard to a festival. Rav Avaya, the elder. Rav Avaya, the elder, Rav Avaya Saba. Rav Avaya, is this the first time we're encountering this in all of Shas? Well, I had a different question, that sometimes the Gemara remains with the words kasha. Kasha, it's a question. And it's, for all intents and purposes, it functions exactly as a tegu does. It means it's kasha, it's a question. And why is that not a tegu? I think of Avaya Saba only appears now, no? Beitzah 21a? Avaya Saba? Interesting. Okay. About 2 years ago, is in my recollection, that when I met Rabbi Yehoshua Cohen in Chut Shel Chesed on Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, almost exactly 2 years ago. It was the 29th day of Sivan, of Tafshin Pei Beis. The first exchange that we had was regarding someone by the name of Shimon Hatimni. And he opened up, he had a whole shas next to him with little Gemaras, with this little small shas. And he said, Shimon Hatimni. And he knew right away to open up. From what I remember Beitzah 21. And there was a Tosfos in Beitzah 21 that said something about Shimon Hatimni. That's just what I remember. So we're on Beitzah 21 right now. So Shimon Hatimni is someone who came up a few times in Yevamos. I think it was 49, and then came up a few times in Yevamos. And so I mentioned Shimon Hatimni to him. And that was our first exchange. And now that the reason why I'm bringing that up is that now we're on Beitzah 21, and I remember that exchange exactly 2 years ago. This is what I mean by the daf being like a time capsule. It's almost like it holds in the things of life, and these little events that happened, and to make sense of them in the end. I think a lot of them remain. But also, the reason why I'm bringing this up is also because Avaya Saba is not very. I think this might be the first time in all of Shas he's coming up. Granted, I missed a lot of dafim of the Daf Yomi. I don't really remember going to all of them. Well, let's see. Rav Avaya Saba, 283, 58 in ordinal. Let's see here, 81. Apash. Let's see here. Rav Avaya Saba. Chain. In Apash is 1931. Boy mine Ravaya Saba Rav Huna. Rav Avaya the elder raised the following dilemma before Rav Huna. If an animal is owned in partnership, half of it belongs to a Gentile, and half of it to a Jew. What is the halacha with regard to slaughtering it on a festival? Rav Huna said to him, it is permitted. Rav Avaya said to him, and what is the difference between this case and vow offerings and guilt offerings? Vow offerings and guilt offerings are similar to jointly owned animals, as part of the animal is sacrificed on the altar, while the other part is eaten by the owner and the priest. Why then is it not similarly permitted to slaughter them on a festival? Seeking to distract Rav Avaya so that he need not answer his question, Rav Huna said to him, look, a raven flies in the sky. That's unusual. Arva parach. I guess that's what he said. Amarle orva parach. A raven flies in the sky. When Rav Avaya left, Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, said to his father, was this not Rav Avaya the elder, whom Master would recommend to us, saying, he is a great man? If so, why did you treat him in that manner and evade his question? Rav Huna said to him, what should I have done for him? Today I am in a state best described by the verse, let me lean against the stout trunks, let me couch among the apple trees. Samchuni ba'ashishot, ravduni b'tapuchim. He quoted him Song of Songs about himself. Let me lean against the tree trunks, couch against among the apple trees, meaning that I am worn out and exhausted from all the communal responsibility that has fallen upon me. And he asked me about something that requires reasoning and careful examination, therefore I could not provide an immediate answer. Okay. The Gemara asks, and what then is the reason? The Gemara explains the difference between jointly owned animal, and a vow offering or guilt offering. A jointly owned animal, half of which belongs to a Gentile and half to a Jew, may be slaughtered on a festival, as it is impossible to obtain an olive bulk of meat without slaughtering. If a Jew wishes to eat even a small portion of meat, he has no alternative but to slaughter an entire animal, even though he will not use all of it. Therefore, it does not matter if part of the animal belongs to a Gentile. However, it is prohibited to slaughter vow offerings and gift offerings on a festival, because in this case there is no real joint ownership of the animal as priests. When they receive their portions of the meat of the offering, and similarly, when Israelites partake of the offering, they receive their portions from the table of the Most High. In other words, the entire offering belongs to God, and those who partake of it are considered guests at his table. As stated above, one may not slaughter an animal on a festival for the sake of God. In continuation of the previous discussion, Rav Chisda said, a jointly owned animal, half of which belongs to a Gentile and half to a Jew, may be slaughtered on a festival because it is... this is probably why the book of Romans in the New Testament is such a controversy and such a shtach in the face of Judaism, because it literally nullifies Judaism. Because here we're learning in the Gemara all these laws, these halachot, about half to Gentile, half to Jew. What if a Gentile does this? What if a Jew does this? It's always separating between Gentile and Jew. But in the book of Romans, I think, or if it's for sure in one of his letters, it says there is no difference between Jew and Gentile. He basically completely nullifies, all these halachos will be nullified. It's unifying Jew and Gentile. And that completely eradicates, it flies in the face of Judaism. Like, what am I doing here? Why am I learning laws about Jew and Gentile if the New Testament is saying there's no difference between Jew and Gentile? There's literally a verse like that. There is no Greek, nor male, nor female, nor bondservant, nor whatever. You know, I can find it right now. I'll tell you, I'll look for it right now. There is no Jew or Greek. It's here. It's Galatians. I'm sorry, not Romans. It's Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus, Yeshua the Messiah. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs to the promise. That's what it says in in Galatians state. So am I learning Talmud or am I learning New Testament? What am I doing? You know? Teku. Aber state that when Mashiach comes, all the tekus are going to be answered. So that's really the impetus of my work of teku. And I think it's good to go off on these soliloquies every now and then. Beitzah 21, Shimon HaTimni, Rabbi Yehoshua Cohen, Rabbi Yehoshua is a Cohen, Yeshua is a Cohen, after the order of Melchizedek, Yeshua Cohen, Yeshua ben Yehoshua is a Cohen Gadol. It's all connected. But when I saw him, he looked like a real Kohen. Kohen Yerushalayim, it's Andre Meile. But let's continue. I'll go upon him. Basically, when Mashiach comes, whoever the Mashiach is, he's going to answer all the tekus. So there won't be any questions. And that's the whole thing of my work of teku. Okay? Getting back to the Gemara, Rav Chisda said that a jointly owned animal. See, we're holding here in time. Nice. Rav Chisda said a jointly owned animal, half of which belongs to a Gentile and half to a Jew, may be slaughtered on a festival because it is impossible to obtain an olive bulk of meat without slaughtering. However, with regard to dough, half of which belongs to a Gentile and half to a Jew, it is prohibited to bake it on a festival, as it is plausible for him to divide it in half during the kneading and bake only the part that belongs to the Jew. Okay. Reb Chana bar Chanilai raised an objection from the following Mishnah. Dough for bread that is meant for dogs when it is of such high quality, even shepherds eat of it, is considered like regular bread. Accordingly, one is obligated to separate challah from such dough. One may use it to establish an eruv, join your courtyards and join your Shabbat boundaries, and to establish the merging of alleyways. And one recites a blessing before and after eating it. And one invites those with whom he ate to recite grace after meals after eating it. And it may be baked on a festival, like all foods fit for human consumption, and a person fulfills his obligation to eat matzah on the first night of Passover with it, if it has not leavened. With regard to the allowance to bake this dough, the Gemara asks, and why may it be baked on a festival? Isn't it possible to divide it during the kneading, so that he bakes only the portion to be eaten by people and leaves aside the part given to the dogs? Leave the bread for the children. It's not meat to give it to the dogs. But even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table. The Gemara answers dough for bread meant for dogs is different, since it's possible to appease them with the carcass. Is it possible that one of his animals will die and he will feed the carcass to the dogs? In which case all the dough will be eaten by people. The Gemara challenges this explanation. Does Rav Chisda accept the principle of sins? Of hoil. I was watching a video about Satmars where the key figure is Yoel, trying to hoil. Does Rav Chisda accept the principle of sins? That sins, it is possible that the situation may change. The halacha is not determined based on current circumstances, but wasn't it stated that the Amoraim disagreed about the halacha governing one who intentionally bakes on a festival day for a weekday. Rav Chisda said he is flogged for desecrating the festival. Rava said he's not flogged. The Gemara explains the two opinions. Rav Chisda said that he is flogged because he holds that we do not say that since if guests happen to visit him, whatever he bakes will be fit for him on the festival itself. Now too, although guests have not arrived, it is considered fit for him. According to that logic, baking would not be considered full-fledged transgression, and one cannot be forewarned about it and does not receive lashes. Rabbah, however, said he is not flogged, as he holds that we do say the principle of sins. As Rav Chisda himself does not accept the principle of sins, how can it be used to resolve a difficulty raised against him? Rather, the Gemara retracts its previous answer. Do not say that dough for dogs is different, since it is possible that one of his animals will die and he will appease the dogs with a carcass. Rather, the reference here is to a case where he has a carcass ready, so that it is certainly possible to appease them with the carcass. Consequently, when the shepherds bake the dough, it is highly likely that they will consume it all themselves. They raised a dilemma before Rav Huna with regard to the Jewish residents of a village upon whom the authorities imposed the obligation to supply flour and bread to the Gentile military troops serving in the area. What is the halakha with regard to baking on a festival? Rav Huna said to them, we examine the matter if those villagers can give bread from the soldier's quota to a child, and the soldiers are not particular about it, then each and every one of the loaves is fit for a Jewish child, and therefore is permitted to bake them. But if the soldiers do not allow anyone else to partake of their bread, it is prohibited to bake the loaves for them on a fast. Tanya. It's right here. Look no further. You don't have to even resort to the Tosfos, although the Tosfos may have talked about it. But Shimon Timni is right here. My memory was correct. Back in on duty, la Mishkan Osecha. What do you know? Shimon Timni. This made my day. This really made my day right here. Shimon Timni. Wow. The Gemara challenged everyone, but as the Tana Bright said, there was an incident involving Shimon the Timnite, who did not come on the night of the festival to the study hall. In the morning, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava found him and said to him, "Why did you not come last night to the study hall?" He said to him, "A military unit on a search mission, on a baleshet, a military unit on a search mission came to our city and wanted to pillage the entire city. We slaughtered a calf in order to placate them, and we fed them with it, and had them depart in peace." Rav Yehuda ben Bava said to him, "I wonder if your gain, that which you saved by preventing the soldiers from taking your possessions, was not outweighed by your loss, the punishment for your desecration of the festival." I don't know how you could say that, because this is, Sekonos Nefashos, you know what I'm saying? As the Torah states, only that which every soul must eat. I mean, maybe they would have raped the women, you know what I'm saying? As the Torah states, only that which every soul must eat, that alone may be done for you. Exodus 12:16, which indicates that food may be prepared for you, but not for Gentiles. Again, Galatians 3:28 comes into play. But then we have to say that Gentiles and Jews were really, today it's also, there's a lot of anti-Semitism, but anyway, but not for Gentiles. The Gemara asks, why did Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava say this wasn't some portion of the calf fit to be eaten by them? The conclusion seems to be that even if a Jew may eat from an animal, it may not be slaughtered on the festival for the sake of a Gentile. Rabbi Yosef said, in that case it was a calf with a condition that would cause it to die within the next 12 months. It was a treifa. which may not be eaten by Jews, the Gemara challenges, but wasn't it still fit to be eaten by dogs? And it could be argued that it was slaughtered for the sake of dogs belonging to Jews. Okay. The Gemara answers the question of whether or not one may perform prohibited labor on a festival for the sake of dogs is a dispute between Tanaim. As it is taught in Beitzah, it is written, only that which every soul must eat, that alone may be done for you. By inference, from that which is stated, every soul, I might derive that even the soul of an animal is included. Similar to that which is stated, and he that kills the soul of an animal shall pay it. Leviticus 24:18. Indicating that the life force of an animal is also called the soul. Therefore, the verse states and emphasizes for you. What a daf. A daf to remember.